Good morning. Today I'm coming to you from the sofa again, and I've got a sleepy purry Chester next to me. This is the fourth video in a series I've been doing recently called Everyday Awareness. It's very focused on really simple little everyday moments of awareness that actually can make a huge difference to how you go through life. We want to wake up from the dream world of this conditioned mind. And one thing that can help us do that, which we're going to talk about today, is recognizing the ego. We have to clarify actually what ego means when we're talking about it in these videos. When we say, oh, she's got a big ego, you know, we mean that person is full of their self-importance. Maybe they're proud, you know, they think they're all that. That's how we use the word ego colloquially. But in these videos, and when you're listening to teachers like Eckhart Tolle and Rupert Spira, the ego is referring to something quite different. Now, I did quickly look up the definition of the word ego on Google, and what it said was a person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance. I think we can shorten that to a person's sense of self. And to clarify even more, it's a person's false sense of self. Personally, this is my favorite definition. What do we mean by a false sense of self? Well, it's the self that you think you are. It's an identity that's been created by your beliefs, which are your thoughts. We all have an idea about ourselves, an idea of who we are, and that's okay. But sometimes it's not okay, is it? If you're living a lot of your day being anxious, it's affecting the way you function in the world, and the way that you can break free from that is by realizing that's not who I really am. Actually, I have innate wisdom and well-being. Innate. You know, the first time I heard this, I was 52 years old. Innate wisdom, the wisdom that you have within you, that's always there guiding you intuitively. We're not in touch with this. We feel disconnected from it and we don't trust it. Sometimes we don't even believe that it's actually there. Why? Because we're giving all our attention to the thoughts popping up in our mind. We think something, we give it our attention. Quite often it'll take us on a downward spiral. We remember something, we give it our attention. We remember other stressful things. We imagine something, we give it our attention. We start to worry about what might happen. I think we're all very familiar with this psychological pattern. The videos I make on this channel, pretty much every video, is designed to interrupt this psychological pattern, to interrupt the years of conditioning that we have in our being. And as Gangaji says, to create a crack in the authority of your perception so that you can enter in through that crack and discover what's real and what isn't. We need to speak about innate well-being as well. We all have innate well-being. There's so many people who are suffering with mental health issues. So where is this innate well-being that you're speaking about, Aliki? Well, it's right here when you're not interfering with it by thinking your way into stress. It's right here in this space that we call presence. Now I need my favorite prop. Hold on a minute. You can see just about in this murky snow globe Edinburgh Castle. Now, what happens when you're giving those daily stressful thoughts your attention? This is what happens. Everything becomes messy. Can't see clearly. Look at those thoughts going all over the place. My goodness, haven't we all experienced that? But after just a moment of being still, look, everything's calm again. This is your natural state. You see, there's a stillness and a peace inside you that nothing can touch. But don't take my word for it. Watch my videos and discover for yourself. And let me know how you get on, because I want to make videos that are helpful and that make a difference. Now let's get super practical. How do we recognize the ego in everyday life? The ego is like a voice in your head. It's a very needy voice. The ego wants to be right. And do you know how it can get that sense of being right? By making others wrong, of course. You know that feeling you get, that kind of I told you so feeling, when you're right and the other person is wrong? That's the ego. You might say, well, there can be lots of times where a person is right and the other is wrong. Is that always the ego? No, it's not always the ego. It's that feeling of superiority that's the ego. But the ego is also that feeling of inferiority. Yes, all those ideas, beliefs, feelings about not being good enough, those are all the ego too. Because they're built on a foundation of ideas about myself, aren't they? And where do you think you got those ideas? Do you think they came from your inner wisdom? I don't think so. It probably came from years of conditioning. The ego also wants to be recognized. You know that feeling when someone tells you how awesome you are? It does feel good, doesn't it? When it comes to ambition and power, things can get out of hand sometimes. And again, isn't that all about this feeling of superiority, being better than everyone else? And the ego also wants to be defended. This is a very easy way to notice the ego in your daily life. Let's take a very common example. Let's say somebody speaks to you in a way that you dislike. You feel offended. If you're not in this place of awareness where you're noticing your reactions and what's going on inside you, then what normally happens is you would just react. So someone speaks to you in an unkind way, in a rude way, you feel offended, you feel that you're being attacked. So what do? You fight back. Now, some wise person, was it Byron Katie, said that defense is the first act of war. Isn't that interesting? So here you are, you've been spoken to in a rude manner, which you don't care for, and you fight back. What's the common scenario? It escalates. Now let's say that someone speaks to you in an unkind way, you feel offended, but then before you say anything, you have a moment of awareness and you realize this is going on in you in that moment. Right? All those thoughts all over the place. Oh my goodness, how dare he speak to me like that? I'm not putting up with this. I've had enough of this. How many times? Blah, 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 blah. The moment you become aware of the fact that you feel offended, you come to this place of present awareness. In that moment, you've realized what's going on and you almost got caught up, or maybe you did get caught up and it's after the event. You're out of the thought storm now. When you see what's happening, you've become fully present. You see things clearly. Maybe the other person is angry with you and you're just here. So what happens? Well, because you're still and not paying attention to all those defensive, angry, troubled, frustrated thoughts, you're able to listen. You're able to hear the wisdom within you, guiding you in that moment. What to say, what not to say. If someone is speaking in an angry and frustrated way, that's coming from pain inside, isn't it? Pain that they've been carrying around. So just being aware in the moment. It's sort of like zooming out and looking at what's happening, being the observer of this situation, this event. It diffuses that energy of unconsciousness and transmutes it into peace. If only in you. It's okay, it doesn't matter if the other person is still going at it. You're not feeding that energy anymore by reacting to it. You're not putting that same energy out into the world by escalating it. You're dissolving it in love, in presence, in understanding. Do you know how powerful this is? So the ego is this voice in your head that wants to be right, that wants to be recognized, and that constantly feels offended. So it's showing up all the time. What happens when you become aware of it? Freedom. That's what happens. You become free not to react to everything that's going on. You become free to live in a more unbothered way, which is beautiful, let's face it, right? Who doesn't want less stress in their life? Seeing the ego, seeing and recognizing these traits of the false sense of self, that's freedom. Remember, the ego isn't something to destroy, it's something to notice. How many of us are trying to destroy the ego? Or improve the ego? Or fix the ego? We're totally barking up the wrong tree if we're doing that. Now, let's say I have an anger issue. I get upset very easily. I get defensive. So what you're doing then is you're trying to combat this anger that rises up in you. You're trying to maybe push it away, stifle it. I don't want that. I don't want that emotion. I don't want that feeling. I don't want those thoughts, right? This puts you in a state of resistance. And then, of course, quite often, because the anger does rise up, and perhaps because you don't deal with it in the way that you'd like, you can end up then directing that anger towards yourself and punishing yourself in some way, blaming yourself, feeling guilty, feeling terrible. But this is all going on within this realm of who you think you are. You're this person with this anger problem. You have a history of being angry. And of course you can, swap out the word angry with any other word that applies to you here. It could be anxious, depressed, jealous, anything, absolutely anything that you think applies to who you are. What if that's not who you really are? What if it's just some emotions that are passing through you, or some thought energy that's passing through you? What if you don't grab onto that and make it your identity? Because when you take your thoughts and emotions and you turn them into an identity, that identity is the ego. Do you see? Remember, the ego is the false sense of self. The ego is the offended self, the self that wants recognition, and the self that wants to be right by making others wrong. Wouldn't it be a shame if you spent the rest of your life thinking that's who you are? That's not who you are. So, starting right now, after this video, notice. See how often you can notice the ego. And smile every time you notice. It's what I like to call the smile of awareness, because in that moment, you see what's going on. This is freedom. Enjoy some freedom this coming week. And I want to hear about it. Please, in the comments, tell me when you notice. Tell me what difference it makes when you notice. Tell me what you found useful. Tell me what you want to hear more about. Tell me everything down in the comments below, because I really appreciate it when you do that. Notice the small moments when the ego appears. Actually, it's not small moments, it's almost all the time. Oh my goodness. Maybe I should have had breakfast first.